this thing's nice.
2017, it's got CarPlay, 60,000 miles, like.
It's got leather seats, butt heaters. This thing's cool, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love it. It's economical. It's you know, and it's a 4-cylinder, but it'll put you back in your seat a little bit.
It's a 4-cylinder?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 4-cylinder. It's an auto, but it's fun.
This is pretty peppy for a 4-cylinder.
It's not bad. It's yeah, the guy told me it's a 1.4 liter turbo.
This thing's got a turbo on it?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Are you sure this thing's got a turbo on it?
Well, let's take a little rip. You'll feel the turbo.
All right,
and I think you can hear it too sometimes.
I don't know. I haven't heard that yet.
All right, here. I'll get on it. I think you can hear it. Well,
I don't know, man. That guy at the dealer, he might have been lying to you. I don't hear nothing coming from under the engine bay.
You know, there's the blow off, and yeah, I don't know a ton about turbos, but I know there's a blow off valve that makes some noise. You know, when you get off the throttle.
I don't know if the dealer told you about this blow off valve. I don't know much about them either, but I'm not hearing any kind of blowing going on anywhere.
All right. Maybe it's just the wind noise. Well, let's park and we'll give it a couple revs.
Okay.
Is that thing even turbocharged? Kids these days.
I mean, if members of the general public are commenting on this thing now.
We got to do something about it. Let's see what ZZP has. What's up, guys? Tyler V at ZZP here. Today we got another install video for you. Today, we are gonna go over our brand new 2nd gen Cruze cold air intake kit. Always an exciting product, especially when we're coming to a new market like the 2nd gen Cruze. Intakes are almost everyone's first mod. Induction noises are great. Get to hear that turbo, get to hear that bypass. I'll walk you over, we'll go over tools needed, what comes in the kit, and then we'll get to installing. This one should be very simple. You can do it in your garage, you can do it in your driveway, heck, you can do it in your apartment complex. Hopefully they don't get too mad at you. But we'll go over everything needed, we'll go out afterwards, and hopefully my buddy will approve of my purchase now. All right, so you might be wondering what tools you'll need today. Let's go over it. Realistically, you can do this just with a standard 1/4 inch ratchet set. We got 1/4 inch ratchet and extension. Got a little 1/4 inch screwdriver there. Comes in handy getting in tight places. Needle nose pliers. Always good to have around. And then when it comes to sockets, you've got an 11, a 10, an 8, a 7, 4 and 5 Allens, and T25, T27 Torx, and then always good to have the old Milwaukee around, but not needed. When you open up your 2nd gen cold air intake kit, here's what you'll have. We got our molded silicone. This is going to go from the turbo to the MAF pad. Speaking of which, we got our MAF tube there. MAF slots right in there. All powder coated wrinkle black to match all our other stuff. Then the main component is going to be your airbox here. Nice zip logo. What's great about this kit is it seals up against the hood and retain the fresh air inlet from the bumper. So that'll sit in the engine bay like that. We have an additional piece to help secure. Of course, we have our ZZP oiled air filters with the bell mouth on the inside. And lastly, couple nice stainless T-bolt clamps. Let's get to it. So let's get to taking off the stock cold air intake. Obviously, we all love turbo noises, and GM creates these cars for the masses, not for us enthusiasts. So we'll get to taking off the stock unit, which is a little restrictive, but most importantly for all of us, it doesn't give you any noise. So first things first, we are going to loosen up the intake tube that goes from the turbo to the airbox assembly. That's going to be a 7 mil. Get those loose. There's one onto the airbox, and there is one right there on the turbo. We'll get those loose. Work those off of their two sides here. All right, so once that is loose, this plastic portion right here is your fresh air inlet from your grill. That's got a clip on the left-hand side. You'll push that in, pull that up. And you can go ahead and remove that for now. That will be going back in, but it just gives you a little more access here, because as you see, we have a little PCV fitting on the side of the tube. There's no clips. What you got to do is squeeze the tube, get a good grip on it, and pull that on out. You'll leave that there. That will install back into our ZZP silicone. So go ahead and get rid of your stock tube. With the intake tube and the fresh air inlet out of the way, first thing you're going to do is disconnect your MAF sensor. You'll have a little red clip, pull that up, push in, pull out. That does have a clip back here, and we'll get to that in a moment. Down here, you do have a condensation tube next to your AC line. That connects to the bottom of the airbox. So it's a bit of a tight squeeze, but you'll get in there, pull that off. That'll hang off to the side. Now your stock airbox is held in with 2 ball studs on the bottom, and then one more connection here on the side of the body. So what you need to do, get a firm grasp on it and pull up, and you'll hear it pop out of both of those. And then you'll slide it towards the driver's side, and then you can see from there that it is free, but we have to take care of this MAF connector. This is where your needle nose pliers will come in handy. So you'll just take those, pinch the clip, and that'll go ahead and pop on off. Now that we have the airbox off, we do need to get our MAF sensor out of there. So T25, we'll take the MAF sensor out. Loosen those on up. And we'll go ahead and zip those off. Pull the MAF sensor out. And as always, I always like to point out, the MAF sensor goes back in where airflow crosses the sensor. So if you look at this, you've got your flat side, that's the back, and then the front, you can see the wires there. That's what calculates how much air is coming in. So save that. We will put that into our new MAF tube, but we'll set everything off to the side for now. And just like that, airbox is out in 5 minutes. Super easy. Now that we have the stock airbox assembly removed, we're gonna prepare the intake to go back in. So like I said, MAF sensor. The 1.4s have little offset bolts, so pretty easy to get it lined up. Go ahead and pop that together. Then you're going to take your included bolts, get those in. We'll go ahead and tighten those on up. Just until they're snug. All right, and then you're gonna put your MAF tube on your air filter. So go ahead and slide that on. You'll feel it come to a stop. And then we're gonna tighten up this clamp. That's gonna be your 8 mil. Tighten that on up, and then you'll know it's correct. Looking in this way, you'll see the back of that MAF sensor there. So that's ready to go. First things first is going to be the intake tube going back into the car. Now that fitting, the PCV fitting, is a tight fit, so if you just take a little dielectric grease, get on in there, make install a little bit easier. So we'll go ahead and take the silicone over to the car. So first thing, to give yourself a little bit of room, this fitting here off the turbo, you can rotate it up and over. Now you might feel a little resistance, but just pull that on up. That's gonna give you a little more room to work. So we're gonna go ahead and get our tube in here. We're not gonna connect it to the turbo yet, but we are gonna get our PCV fitting in, and you'll just kind of wanna, if you kind of rock it back and forth, it'll work its way on up there. All right, I'm gonna grab the smaller of the 2 T-bolt clamps and put that around the silicone here. But again, we're not gonna connect it to the turbo quite yet, because we need to get the airbox assembly in. So this part takes a little bit of finagling, but shouldn't be too hard for you. So what I'm gonna do is take the airbox here, feed the silicone through, just kind of loosely. Next up is going to be our fresh air inlet. Just want to make sure you don't scratch up that nice powder coat. All right, so we have that in the general vicinity. Next, I'm going to take the 2 ball studs on the airbox, which are going to go back into the stock place. Make sure you have those lined up. This bottom one will be a little more difficult to see, but pull that up and over, and I'm going to go ahead and click those into place. You'll hear a little satisfying snug click. Once that's all in place, I'm going to go ahead and get our silicone connected to the turbo. That's going to be as easy as sliding it on. Now we like to make our silicone fit nice and tight. Make sure you're never coming loose. So make sure that's butted up against the turbo, and then you can move your T-bolt clamp over. Okay, once your clamp is on, we'll go ahead and spin this T-bolt home. That's going to be an 11 mil. Go ahead and make sure that's tight. It doesn't need to be crazy tight because this is your intake side, so you're not having any pressure there. Now you're gonna wanna take your MAF sensor wire and kind of fish it up from the bottom here. And you'll see we have a nice little channel cut into the air box. So you'll go ahead and pull that up and through. Next, you'll want to reattach your fresh air inlet. That just slides back onto the stock foam there. Doesn't really clip or anything, but you're in place there. So once we have all that connected, we can go ahead and get the MAF tube in. You're gonna need your second T-bolt clamp. Slide that over the silicone, but don't tighten. We've got everything ready. We've got our air filter and MAF tube ready to go in. Like I said, place your clamp there before. Make sure your MAF sensor wire is tucked up and in. And you'll go ahead and insert this into the silicone. Kind of twist it back and forth. Make sure your air filter doesn't snag on these, create any holes. And that can seat pretty far down in there. Now what I'm gonna do is just rotate the pipe, kind of get that MAF sensor over to the side rather than sticking straight up and down. I don't know, personal preference. Once that's in, you'll notice the filter is gonna sit on your body line here, so it's not gonna rub on anything. So you'll wanna go ahead and click that MAF sensor wire back in. We'll go ahead and tighten our other T-bolt, which again was an 11 mil. And last but not least, we have our fresh air inlet holder. The nifty little piece that Alex made to make sure you're not flopping around. So what you're gonna do, this is the way it will install. You'll notice the slot here. That's gonna go to your bolt hole right next to the fresh air inlet. So you'll see this goes around that body bracket, and then you'll get your bolt started, and then we'll push this forward, which holds that in place. So I'm gonna place it there loosely. You're gonna take your Allen bolt with the washer and go up from the bottom. All right, you'll want to go ahead and hold that in place. Put your washer on. Put your nut on. I'm gonna get it hand tight, and then like I said, because this doesn't have any clips to retain there, you'll push this back. Push the bracket into place, and you can see the clip seats right against there. I'm going to tighten that as much as I can by hand. Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. You'll take your 10 mil. Go ahead and tighten that down. You may have to use a 5 Allen on the back of it, but as you can see here, mine didn't need it. Make sure your tube can't move forward and backwards. Up and down is fine. Everything's tight. This is good. We're tight on all fronts. And just like that, we're all done. Do your final checks. Make sure everything's tight. And just like that, we're installed. Easy peasy. Like I said, you don't even have to schedule an afternoon off for yourself. 15, 30, 45 minutes at the most. Removal of stock intake is super straightforward, very simple. Installation of ours, pretty straightforward. We've retained the fresh air inlet. We've got the nice seal that's gonna go up against the hood. Now let's go see how it sounds.
Hey, Alex man, what's up? You got a minute or two? I did a little something to this Cruze, and I think you need to hear it. Man, there is a friggin' turbo on this thing, I'll tell you what. Alright, be there in a few. Peace.
What's up, Tyler?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
How's the turbo mobile?
I'll show you this thing's got a turbo now. So I did the ZZP intake, and it was easy. 30 minutes, right in the driveway. And I think you're the one who's wrong now.
Not gonna lie, I can hear a little bit of fluttering going on right there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's some noise coming now.
Well, we'll kick it out here, and I think you'll be impressed. And I can tell you get a little bit of power too.
Alright Tyler, after driving around for a little bit, I'm pretty convinced. Why don't you park up and rev it a bit, and let's see if we can hear it.
All right.
Yeah.